2014 has been one of significant macroeconomic challenges, particularly in the area of labour disputes. January saw the start of a 5-month strike in the platinum sector, and in July there was the month-long metal and engineering sector strike. According to the Reserve Bank, economic growth in the third quarter would have been just over 3% were it not for the July engineering strike. Instead, the third quarter GDP print came in at 1.4%. And there have also been changes in the key economic decision-making institutions, those of the Finance Ministry and the Reserve Bank. The National Development Plan has been hailed by the ANC government as the policy that will turn the economic fortunes of South Africa around. But many in some quarters still question whether the implementation of the policy is actually taking place. Meanwhile, for the past year, the ratings agencies have been keeping an eye on government finances, concerned about slow economic growth and, in turn, slow revenue collection, while spending has continued full steam ahead. In October, Finance Minister Nhlanhla Nene delivered his maiden mid-term budget speech, in which he tried to reassure the markets that government would keep a tighter rein on expenditure.
The real concern for me comes around in terms of how much fiscal consolidation can we physically implement. South Africa is fantastic at making plans, but we generally fall short in terms of the actual implementation thereof. And that's what I'm going to be looking out for, specifically as we head into the main budget in February next year.
Just last week, ratings agencies Fitch and Standard & Poor's seemingly gave the government the benefit of the doubt, keeping the country's sovereign credit rating unchanged. No doubt they'll also be keeping a beady eye on the minister's budget speech pronouncements early next year. The other area flagged as a constant concern is the labour environment. Not just the propensity to strike, but the divisive, sometimes violent nature the labour movement has developed in recent years. Labour, however, is agreed that government's current macroeconomic policies, like inflation targeting, have not worked to boost the fortunes of the working poor, nor of the unemployed.
The underlying problems which we faced over the last few years have, if anything, got even worse this year. Unemployment, particularly by the more realistic expanded level, which includes people who've given up even trying to find work, is higher than it's ever been, at 36.8%. We still have many people living in poverty.
Market commentators have welcomed the apparent continuity that has come with the change of leadership at the Finance Ministry and the Reserve Bank. Lisicha Kganyago took over the reins there in November. Analysts have also said, given the high inflation situation in the country this year and low growth prospects, the bank's raising of interest rates by 75 basis points was the right call. However, now with oil prices trading below $60 a barrel, it's expected that the bank's stated rate hiking cycle policy may be less intense as inflation pressures ebb away in the short term.
With an economy that's probably going to struggle, especially in the light of our electricity problems, I think there's probably no real reason for the Reserve Bank to be preemptive in hiking rates further at this point in time. I would say probably interest rates unchanged for at least a good 9 to 12 months next year.
Analysts say South Africa's Achilles heel remains the poor education system, but government is taking steps to boost primary education, FET colleges and provide greater access to tertiary education. However, the results of these efforts will be on a longer timeline. In the short term, it's hoped improved fortunes in the global economy will help translate into better domestic economic growth and job creation in the coming years.